just a little warning, this video may contain spoilers for Silent Hill 1 through 4. Just letting you know. But if you haven't played those games yet, what's wrong with you?
Hey there folks, Katie Bolte here. Some of you might be wondering, who's this chick? But basically, I'm the animator who created that new GGR intro, and also, for the past couple months I've been helping the CCS crew with various bits of art and editing behind the scenes. But anyways, enough about me, because the Fuboo and I are here to discuss a topic that is very dear to both of our hearts, the Silent Hill series. So welcome everybody to the first ever all-girls after hours.
Sounds like a lesbian strip club.
Yeah, it kind of does. But anyways, Mel, before we begin, you had a quick announcement about GGR, right?
Just a heads up, Game Glitch Radio is in a bit of a hiatus right now, so life has been going on with me and Kenny and stuff like that, so we're a little too busy to make any new episodes. So just hang in there, and we might be returning in about a month or two. So, sorry.
Okay, so let's go ahead and just dive right into the discussion. You and I are really big Silent Hill fans. We decided to come together today to just discuss the series in general and why we think that with the death of PT, the direction of the game could possibly just go back downhill. Because personally, I had kind of lost hope in the Silent Hill series after the last pretty much every game after Silent Hill 4 just continually got worse and worse. I mean, and with PT, it wasn't what I had come to, hope for from a Silent Hill game in a way, but it was a new direction, but it was a direction that I really had a lot of hope for, and I'm really, honestly kind of sad that project isn't going to be continued, because I feel like they were taking in a direction that Silent Hill really needed to go back to, which was just kind of surrealism and really subtle scares. And if you stand in the beginning of if anybody's played this, if you stand in the first room and just, don't move and just stand there, you could hear like little scratching on the wall, and it's just like, what is that? What is that? And, that's kind of something that a lot of good Silent Hill games constantly have you asking, what is that thing, And what I really loved about PT, something that I felt really was akin to Silent Hills 1 through 4, was that it revealed small bits and pieces of the narrative throughout the game. It doesn't just give you the story in one big exposition at the end, like Silent Hill 5, for instance. It was something that you had to look into. The story wasn't just handed to you on a silver platter. You had to investigate. You had to solve riddles, and you had to really look at the environment and try to figure out yourself what was going on. And that was something that I really feel like it did very well. I mean, and you and I agree that the only real Silent Hill games are 1 through 4. A lot of people will say things like, well, you guys, people who say that are just, they're blinded by nostalgia, and, you gotta give the new games a chance. Now, here's the thing. Yeah, but we
did give the new games a chance. That's the problem.
Exactly. Yeah, see, I have played, except for Downpour, because fuck that. I've played all of the newer Silent Hill games, and as video games, if you took Silent Hill out of the title and just had them as games, they're good. They're good games. I had fun. I enjoyed them. But as Silent Hill, they don't fit, and this is something that you and I want to go over about why they don't fit. So, now, with Silent Hill 1, way back in the day, it was completely different from all the other horror games that were coming out at the time, because the other games would just kind of pop enemies out or have hordes of monsters attacking you, and that was where the fear came from. It was the panic. But Silent Hill had what I would call just true, deep, scary horror. It was the environment itself was the scare.
Well, what I liked most about the first 4 Silent Hill games is that the atmosphere in each game was different. It wasn't the same, Because with the first game, we're talking about the first game so far, so I might as well dive into that. In the first game, it gave you these huge old wide open areas, especially those big ass streets. You've seen those streets, right?
Oh yeah.
They're about a mile long, and despite all this open space, you still felt trapped, you're running around, in these huge old open areas, these big ass elevators. Yet for some odd reason, you still felt you needed to escape, because you were still leaning to one direction, but you really couldn't go in another. It constantly kept pushing you forward, despite despite everything. It literally constantly kept plunging you into a nightmare, and you constantly had to find your way out. Especially when you're not even in the nightmare world.
Mm-hmm.
You still felt, you felt trapped, especially with all the thick and heavy fog. And, well, we all know why they did the fog, to cut down on the pixelations,
mm-hmm.
of the loading up time and stuff like that. But it still worked, though,
Oh, yeah, no, well, see, that's the thing, is that they used the limited draw distance to their advantage. And, the PlayStation 1, there was only so far that environments could load themselves. And so they masked that with fog, which actually ended up contributing to that feeling of being trapped that you mentioned.
And then you got Silent Hill 2. The streets are a lot smaller. The areas you go into are a lot smaller. It gave you a more claustrophobic feeling.
Mm-hmm.
It made you feel a little more stuck. It made your surroundings like really enclosed, especially when you're outside, because the fog became so thick. You could barely, get a hold of your surroundings and stuff like that.
Yeah, and also with Silent Hill 2 to even push that feeling of claustrophobia or feeling trapped even further, they have these scenarios where you're almost forced to do things, and it gives you the prompt. Do you want to stick your hand in this creepy hole in the wall with like moths coming out of it, or do you want to stick your hand down this toilet? And you don't want to. You can say no, but you have to say yes in order to continue.
Yeah, especially with those huge old dark deep holes that you have to jump into.
Exactly.
Any sane normal person, if you go into this creepy town and you see this huge old hole that you have to jump into to proceed forward, you wouldn't do it.
Mm-hmm.
But unfortunately, you have to proceed.
Yeah.
It gives you that feeling of discomfort, of force.
Exactly. See, and and we'll jump into the next two games also, but already just with the first two titles, the developers have made the whole entire experience something that is discomforting. That is true horror. It's not only was the environment against you, along with the monsters that are actively trying to kill you, but there's also all of these little subtle scenarios and these little just uncomfortable moments that you have to put yourself through, and that is just it's just crafted so well.
Oh, I know. It puts you in a very uncomfortable situation, because we're all used to it. Run around, beat a monster with a stick and stuff like that. Win the game, save the day, stay alive and stuff like that. But this game, it made you feel dread.
Mm-hmm.
It just made you. It was a different kind of horror that wasn't booga booga bugga. It was a horror as in a feeling of dread.
Yes, exactly. Because even if you killed all the monsters chasing you, you still didn't feel safe.
No, you didn't.
Exactly.
Not at all.
Yeah, but I mean, and that's. Going into Silent Hill 3, which is my personal favorite of the series.
Silent Hill 3 was a great game.
Yes. Yeah, it's that one I feel like just it was the crux of just all of this stuff that we're talking about. With Silent Hill 3, it really did push that feeling of dread, the feeling that you have, when you're walking alone at night and you kind of see something move out of the corner of your eye,
Oh, man.
It's, and also with Silent Hill 3, I feel like it had a lot of really, really just weird and surreal imagery. I mean, like sometimes when you would go into the nightmare world, there would be like, for instance, in the what was it?
The hospital?
Not the hospital. It was the building where there's all the companies and stuff in it. I don't know.
Oh yeah, Yeah,
what's the name? Yeah, I don't remember the name.
we don't remember the name, ladies and gentlemen, but we know what we're talking about. That one building with all those different offices.
Yes, the office buildings. We both couldn't remember the name office building. This is
genius.
Wonderful, awesome. But anyways, in the office building, in like the Otherworld version of it, there was this like just weird surreal metal sculpture thing with like a lady's face smiling at you, and like just like images of like burns or blood or something kind of slithering across it, you know, and you're like, what the fuck is that? And like, what does that mean? And then there would be like these I don't even know what they are, like statues or something. I don't know what they are.
Dolls.
Yeah, something that's like this body that's like hanging and holding like a baby doll that's about to like drop down this endless void or something. And it's just like that kind of stuff, you know, the imagery where it with Silent Hill 3, I feel like it really brought to light this idea of like this imagery that suggests the idea, but it doesn't make it overly obvious, you know?
Yes, at least person guessing, thinking about what is the meaning behind all of this.
Exactly, and it makes you wonder, and you know, especially with, you know, there is a lot of sexual imagery in 2 and everything, and that is a little bit more obvious, but it still isn't in your face, whereas games like Homecoming, for instance, had monsters that were just, you know, blatantly naked, or like the bondage monster that's like, well, that's obvious what that's supposed to be. But, you know, for instance, with Silent Hill 2, there's a mannequin monster that is just 2 legs. And it kind of moves in this almost praying mantis-like way where like the legs are kind of like, you know, like rubbing together, like rubbing together, you know, and it's like, you know, that should be sexual because it's 2 legs, but at the same time it's distorted in a way that it's not just in your face, you know. And also with Silent Hill 3, there were with the Slurpers, for instance, the monsters, the Slurpers, they kind of looked like they were dressed in like S&M garb and stuff, and they would knock Heather over and then like kind of crawl on top of her, and it's just like
it made you feel very uncomfortable when they knocked you down. You're like, oh, I know, she's 17. Should I be watching this?
I know, but see, that's the thing. Like it was done so well because it didn't ever take anything over the top, you know. And in 1 through 4, but I mean especially in 3, that one I feel like really pushed it, but in all the games 1 through 4, the images that were displaying the themes of like sex and death and these things that make us uncomfortable were so distorted that it made you wonder that the wonder added to the fear.
It brought to life a more morbid and Machiavellian part of your imagination. It invited your curiosity, you know.
Yeah,
it's just wonderful.
Exactly.
I'm into that kind of stuff. So.
No, yeah, exactly. But see, you know, you summed it up exactly right there. It invited your curiosity. Whereas games such as Origins, Homecoming, Downpour, our curiosity really isn't invited because
they just up and just throw it to you. Like, here it is. There's a dead body. There's something that represents sex. Have fun. It's like, oh, okay.
Yeah, there's no curiosity. There's no wonder. It's just, yep, there it is. Yeah, okay. Yeah, that's real cool, right? And it's like, you know? Yeah, but I did a lot of talking just now about Silent Hill 3 and that stuff, so if you
I was looking for my notes with the 4th.
Yeah, no, that's okay. I just want to make sure.
The 4th game. We're still talking about atmosphere here.
Yes. Yeah.
Right. The atmosphere in the 4th game, now it did kind of a mix of 1 and 2. Mm-hmm. You know, it gave you these wide open spaces and everything like that, just like Silent Hill 1 did. But at the same time, when you went inside, it felt kind of claustrophobic. Because, think about it, Henry has been in his tiny little apartment room for 5 days or so. I can't remember.
Yeah, I believe it's...
check. I don't know. He's been in there a while, poor guy. And so you're constantly swapped out between going outside to suddenly going back inside. You had this freedom, but you were still tied down, you know? And hence for the claustrophobic feeling from Silent Hill 2. And, well, with Silent Hill 4, everything felt like a dream. You know, whenever you hopped into the hole to go into a whole new world, everything was kind of a blur. It hinted to you that this may or may not be real, and that made you question about Henry's surroundings, you know?
Yeah, exactly.
These were all parts of Walter Sullivan's memories. And especially towards the end of the game, when you start going down to the deepest part of him, that you find out that you're actually going through his memories, the places that he's been to when he was growing up. So it made you feel more like, well, you're not actually in the real world, you're not in a nightmare world, you're in an alternate world that Walter Sullivan's mind conjured up. you know, and therefore with you being the 21st sacrament, you're stuck in there.
Yeah.
So therefore discovering that you were never really outside of your apartment in the first place.
I definitely agree, and you know, for me actually, Silent Hill 4 was the first Silent Hill game that I actually played, and
really,
yeah, it was. I
well, Silent Hill 3 was mine, so you're good.
I borrowed it from a high school friend of mine, but something that I love about Silent Hill 4 is, you know, like what you said, you're always trapped. Either you're trapped in your apartment or you're trapped inside this guy's head by, you know, entering into his memories through the hole in your bathroom. So you're always, you know, you're never free. You're always confined somewhere. And something that I think a lot of people don't really take into account for Silent Hill 4, because you're right, it was so different from the other titles. So, and a lot of people were kind of unsure about that, but something that I really love is the mechanics of the home base idea, where, you know, in the first half of the game, you go into this crazy world, there's monsters that can hurt you, there's stuff that can damage you, and it's dangerous. And you come home and it's safe.
Yes.
And then in the second half of the game, your home base starts to actually be invaded by the creepy stuff that you were fighting in Walter's mind in his dream world. So
yeah, your apartment, your place of safety suddenly starts to turn against you.
Exactly, and then suddenly you're dreading coming back to this place that you originally saw as a sanctuary, because you know that if you come back from the other world, you might wake up and there could be a haunting right next to your bed, and if your health's low, you're gonna die.
Yes, it is. It's very frustrating on hard mode too.
Oh God, I know, isn't it? But oh man, the kid in the closet haunting gets me every time.
Oh my goodness, yes. Oh my word.
Like, oh man, and so that mechanic, the way that they turn it against you, that is just so brilliant, you know?
It is. I love that.
I know, me too, because it really just pushes that feeling of dread. You know, that is the bottom line here that sets the first 4 games apart from everything that came after, was that constant feeling of dread. You know, and
yes.
the games that after 4 just did not have that.
No.
But yeah. Oh, go ahead.
Well, I was going to say I have to give a little bit of props to Silent Hill 0, just a little. Okay?
Yeah,
I'm not going to praise it saying that's the better of all the evils, but of course it tried.
It did.
You know,
it
actually tried to be a Silent Hill game. You know, yeah. We returned to a town, you know, before the story plot was crap.
Yeah, it was.
All right, obviously the people who did it had no idea what was going on with the story and everything like that. There were no 2 Alessa's people. There was only one. There was no good Alessa and evil Alessa. Alessa was a good person.
Yeah, but no, I definitely agree. Like, out of every game after 4, Origins, if I had to pick one to play, I would pick Origins, because I actually have a lot of fun with that game. I do enjoy it. You're right. Like, the story and plot are just completely, it's just throw it out the window. It's no good.
Well, if you skip all the cutscenes, it's all right.
Oh, there you go. Yeah. Yeah, exactly. But I like, you know, they did try. Like, some of the monster designs too in that game I actually really enjoyed, and some of the levels, the theater level in particular, I enjoyed. I thought that was pretty neat.
I didn't like the theater one. I
really?
preferred I like the asylum one though.
See, the asylum one always got on my nerves. It was it just, like, it felt like it never ended, and it just, like, it gave me a headache playing that level. But no, like, some of the monsters design, like the cow creature that you know, it was supposed to represent, like, a lot of the roadkill that he's seen on his trips, you know? Like, I kind of like that was pretty good. Some of the other monster designs were just kind of
Well, the monster designs, to me, it really didn't make very much sense, because who are we supposed to be seeing whose representation here? Are we seeing Alessa's, or are we seeing Travis's?
Exactly. Like, the only monster that I really felt like was connected to Travis was the roadkill one, like the cow thing. One.
The rest were just kind of...
Yeah.
Well, the thing is that the problem with these newer games is that they don't rely on atmosphere anymore. They just simply rely on tougher monsters, loud noises, and just basically all around jump scares. And all this takes away the experience from, you know, just the players themselves, because it was the atmosphere that sunk us in.
Mm-hmm.
And then what was inside of that atmosphere is what actually gave us, it gave us a reaction. But the thing was that all these other Silent Hill games, they just, like I said, they rely on the graphics, they rely on tougher gameplay, and that's it.
Yeah.
There was nothing to be absorbed out of all that, especially with all the little jump scares that they've been doing, like, oh, here's a dead body over there, falling from the ceiling or whatever. They're not subtle with what they wanted to execute. It was just all in your face. There was, as we said that before, there was no room for imagination. Our minds could no longer wander anymore. We couldn't think because they just up and just showed us right up out of the blue, and there was no experience.
Yeah, but so the second part of our discussion, I want to focus on the kind of the theme of just the occult, I guess, the occult influences in the first 4 games, because I feel like that's something that is really lacking in every game after 4. Well, okay, Homecoming had it, but it was really stupid. So that doesn't really, they tried to...
Nice way to put it.
Well, they tried to have the cult in there, but they took it in such a retarded direction that, I can't even take it seriously in any way, shape, or form. See, that's the thing, is that 1 through 4, and I'm gonna go in, we're gonna go into this a little more deeply, but 1 through 4, the kind of the underlying focus and the reason that things are happening all had to do with the cult and their practices and their beliefs and how that affected the spiritual power of the town. And so that's why the first 4 games look and feel the way they do. Now, a lot of people, and this pisses me off to no end, but a lot of people who maybe are newer to the Silent Hill games, they come into Silent Hill and they see it as oh yeah, Silent Hills is this, it's a judge that calls people have done wrong, and it punishes them. It punishes them so that they can redeem themselves. And I'm just fucking no, okay? That was only the plot of Silent Hill 2. All other 3 games had nothing to do with punishment or being called to the town for redemption or whatever. Okay, except for in Silent Hill 1 when Cheryl was called to the town, but that was because of Dahlia casts a spell, which is, again, links to the occult. So it wasn't anything about the town calling Cheryl. There was a reason for it, and the reason was the cult.
Yes, it was.
And a lot of people have this obsession with Silent Hill 2, and they want to make every single Silent Hill game Silent Hill 2.
After Silent Hill 2, Silent Hill 2, Silent Hill 2. We got 3 other games besides Silent Hill 2, and they're really good games,
Yeah.
I mean, as what was it, the Real Silent Hill Experience guys, what they said, those are really great games, and they should be appreciated as well instead of Silent Hill 2. And I think I know why everybody loves Silent Hill 2 so damn much.
All right, go for it. Please tell us.
Now, here's what I think. It's because it is easier to understand.
Yep, it's a standalone story.
Yeah, it's its own standalone story, and the plot is pretty simple.
Mm-hmm.
James' wife dies, goes to the town to see if she's there. Turns out he killed her, and he's been feeling bad about it. That's why the town called him. Mm-hmm. And that's pretty easy to understand, pretty easy to follow. With Silent Hill 1, 3, and 4, however, it's more complicated. There was more twists and turns here and there. It's something that you have to constantly keep playing the game, piece together yourself.
Exactly.
With Silent Hill 2, it's more simple for the simple-minded people. I am so sorry.
No, it is. But see, here's the thing, though, is that you're exactly right. In Silent Hill 1, you play through, you get to the end, you're like, what the fuck just happened? You gotta play through again and then really listen to, okay, what's this crazy lady babbling about, this this Mark of Samael? Oh, I get it. That actually is this seal of Metatron. It's the same thing. See, but with those games, a lot of the storytelling is subtle, or it is told through symbolism, that you're right, it's not for simple-minded people. You have to play through multiple times to get the complete story. And it's the same, well, not as much with 3, because 3 was the sequel to 1, so it kind of wrapped up the story. But even with 4, if you play through it multiple times, you pick up on things. Or if you get different endings, you do pick up on different things. And 2, the story kind of wraps itself up right there, James goes to the town, where's his wife? He finds out he kills his wife. He, either leaves the town or kills himself, and then the story's over. You can play it again to get different endings and maybe, learn a couple new things here and there, but it's still mostly the story the first time you play it through.
Yeah, but I agree with all that. And another thing I'd like to add, though, with people assuming that it's the town calling for judgment or something like that, the town doesn't call just anybody. Mm-hmm. Okay, I mean, I could have freaking stole a candy bar at the store and Silent Hill will call me and make me pay for my sins. No, it doesn't work like that. Mm-hmm. Silent Hill calls out to those who had done something terrible and they feel deep regret for what they have done and desire punishment. Mm-hmm. Okay?
Yeah, exactly. See, that's the thing. The town doesn't desire to punish people. The people desire to punish themselves. Yeah,
the people themselves must desire this punishment. And then, therefore, the town calls for them to get that punishment, to get themselves a good spanking.
But for the stuff centering around the occult, so, 1 through 4, the reason that those things happen to those characters is because of the influences of the cult. Obviously in 1, I'll just start from the beginning, that, all of this power of Silent Hill is coming from just this spiritual presence that is in the town and has always been in the town. And then when Silent Hill 1 comes around and, we have Alessa and this horrible thing happens to her, this ritual that goes wrong, then all of the pain that she is being felt is projected onto the town and ends up kind of corrupting the natural spiritual power that was already there.
Yes, it's not revenge. It was it was a complete accident. Alyssa did not mean to punish people or whatever. That's not the intention that everyone's trying to spread around, especially from the first 2 damn movies.
Oh yeah, let's just not even talk about the movies.
All right, okay, ladies and gentlemen, we're not going to talk about the movies at all. We're just going to shove them into the back of our minds.
But yeah, so the spiritual power of the town is tainted by Alessa's pain that she's feeling, and that's why the entire town becomes kind of covered in images of blood and rust, and there's wheelchairs, and there, all of these things that kind of represent her torment that she's feeling for being forced to live. And this actually is a quote from Dahlia in the game. It's like Alessa was kept alive, suffering a fate worse than death.
Yes.
They used a spell to keep her living until they could get the other half of her soul back. So that's why everything is so creepy and twisted and gross in the other world.
Yeah, but at least in Silent Hill 1 and 3. Because if you think about Silent Hill 2 and 4, the worlds were different.
They were, but there still was that distortedness.
Yeah, there was distortedness, but all that distortedness was the town's power affecting the psyche of the person's mind.
Exactly.
And projecting it into reality, or at least their reality. Because as you've noticed throughout Silent Hill 2, no one else could see what was going on.
Yeah, well...
and that was a different effect that the dark power had with different kinds of people.
Yes,
as in Silent Hill 1 and 3, it all was affecting from Alessa, Heather.
yeah, and like you said, in 2, Laura, who has nothing dark or corrupted in her mind because she's so young, she doesn't see anything.
No.
So you're right. In 1, obviously it was Alessa who was projecting her subconscious onto the town. 2, it was James. Obviously 3, it's actually a lot of people don't know this, but it's actually Claudia.
Yes, that's right. Sorry.
Yeah, Claudia, who is projecting, because of her power of faith, and also it's kind of a mix of Claudia and Heather slash Alessa even.
Well, if you think about it, Claudia did grow up with Alessa, so some of that might have projected onto her as well.
Mm-hmm. Exactly, yeah, and then 4, obviously, it's Walter.
Yes.
But,
it's not all Alessa, people.
Yeah. Okay, so, a lot of people, obviously the cult influence is very obvious in 1, 3, and 4. However, in 2, a lot of people say, well, 2 didn't have any kind of influence from the cult at all.
Wrong.
That actually is wrong. Yes, and Mel, I know you have some notes to talk about on this particular topic. So why don't you go ahead and explain to us about a little scenario.
Let me bring up my papers here.
Yes, a scenario called "Born from a Wish."
A lot of people keep saying, oh, Silent Hill 2 is its own story and stuff like that. And I was like, well, in a way that's true, but the problem is that Silent Hill 2 had a lot of symbolism relating to the cult.
Mm-hmm.
You know, because think about it, you got Maria and James. You know, Maria's there to hang out with James. James is there to find his wife. So any kind of influence of the cult that was there, it's all pushed aside because it was not exactly their interest.
Mm-hmm.
But if you play around, it's still there. It's still pretty solid, especially with Born from a Wish, you know, because you got Maria, who is basically a reincarnation of Mary, you know, brought back due to James' strong desire to be punished, and it's for that dark power relating to Alessa's, pain and torment and stuff like that, which corrupted the power of the town.
Mm-hmm.
And even during the gameplay of Born from a Wish, you meet up with this character, Ernest Baldwin, and he actually started mentioning that maybe there is a way to bring his daughter back. And as we all know, there is a ceremony that a cult performs to bring one back from the dead.
Yep, exactly. Yep. But you're absolutely correct, because the ritual that Ernest Baldwin talks about in Born from a Wish is actually the same ritual that James can perform in the Rebirth ending. Because in that ending, after you played through the game a couple times, you can start to find strange items around the town. There's a vial of white liquid, there is a strange book, and a couple other items that you have to collect, and I believe there are 4 in all. But if you get all these items, you can get the Rebirth ending, where James takes his wife's body and goes to this little secluded church that's in the middle of this island on the lake, and he talks about how he is going to try and bring Mary back. And what Ernest Baldwin talks about, as you said, was he was wondering about the same ritual. Am I going to be able to bring my daughter back? Because his daughter had died. And so Silent Hill 2 actually did have a lot of influence of the cult, but again, it was something that you had to play through the game multiple times to figure out. You know, so because you can't get the Rebirth ending on your first playthrough. You can't unlock the Born from a Wish scenario until you've beaten the game a couple times. And actually, the Born from a Wish scenario, a lot of people don't even know about it, because I believe it was only in the Greatest Hits version, right?
Yeah, I got
that's
it.
What you said. Yeah, exactly. So people don't even know about that. But something really, really interesting, and this is actually going to lead into the final topic that I wanted to discuss. In the Born from a Wish scenario, Ernest says to Maria, I believe his line is something like, Maria, the gods are here. You know it too. You were born in this town. So,
James says the same thing in the Rebirth ending.
Oh, does he?
Yeah, he says that the old gods of the town are still here.
Exactly. See, now, and so that's the occult right there. These gods that they're worshiping. Here it is. There you go.
Well, how come people don't see it?
Yep. So
it's not about judgment.
Yeah. So to wrap up, and I actually I have one more topic for us to discuss. But to wrap up, before we go into that, what makes a Silent Hill game is the subtlety of the images. That the environment makes you feel dread constantly. It's not just the monsters chasing you. It's not just, oh, here's some blood and gore, isn't it spooky? And it's the whole idea of this cult that it's mysterious, and you don't really know a lot about it, which adds to the dread, because you're like, what is this ritual? What is going on here? And in number 4, it's like, what is all this like weird crap you find behind in the secret room in Henry's apartment? It's like, what even, it's this whole idea of what is going on. That is what makes a Silent Hill game a Silent Hill game. And that's why I feel like Peachy could have been going in a really good direction, because there wasn't really we didn't really see anything that pointed towards any kind of cult influence, but I feel like it definitely could have been there. I feel like it could have led in that direction, because the rest of it very much had the atmosphere and the feeling of what the hell is going on. And there were a couple moments where there were like pop-ups or whatever, but that's okay, because there were a couple of jump scares here and there in all the first 4 games too. It does happen, but that isn't the focus of the game.
No, it wasn't.
Exactly.
Like once in a while you suddenly have this loud noise and you jump a bit like, okay, holy crap, where did that come from? Is there a monster in the room? Is there something I'm not seeing? But nothing else happens.
Yeah, exactly.
All right, excellent. Well, as you know, this is the number one thing that bothers me, but everyone, well, not everyone, but the weak-minded, they always assume that the cult is a bloodthirsty, religion, stuff like that. All because of 3 people: Dahlia, Claudia, and Walter Sullivan. Well, not so much Claudia, more like Leonard.
Yeah, Leonard was like, he was, yeah, he was pretty crazy.
Yes, he was. But the thing was that, yes, at first, when the order came around, it was a little on the creepy side, because as we all saw in Silent Hill 4, they would actually take children, orphans and stuff like that, and they would bring them up in this orphanage, and they would brainwash these kids, and try to get them developed into their religious beliefs. They did not go around town kidnapping people, hanging them off from ceilings, and then beating them to death to try to get them to convert. Cough, cough, Silent Hill 5.
Yeah, no, they would bring people in Silent Hill 1, they tell you how they bring people in. It's really subtle.
They use drugs.
They use drugs, exactly. And they get them addicted to the drugs, and then they have to stay in the cult because that's the only way that they're going to get the drugs.
Yeah, that's actually what helped. That's what helped Lisa take care of Alessa for so long, because of that drug.
Yep.
They didn't go around bluntly stab people to death or anything like that.
Yeah. Yeah. No. Yeah. Exactly. But so to wrap up, we've kind of just touched on everything. Why 1 through 4 are the only real Silent Hill games, why PT was, it's starting to go in a good direction because it had a lot of those elements that would make a real Silent Hill game, But now that PT isn't happening, I'm really unsure about the direction that the series is going to go because, is it even going to go anywhere? Are they going to just give it back to some random American developer? Not that American developers
we don't know
bad,
what we're doing.
But...
People, don't give it to us, Americans.
Really, we've already seen what American developers can do, and it's shit. So, I'm hesitant. But yes. I want to know, to wrap this up, I'm actually kind of curious about, personally, what you think might be an interesting take on the next Silent Hill game. And I'll start out to kind of give you an idea of what I mean by that. Okay. I think what a really, really, really interesting take on Silent Hill would be is, what if we go way back in time to the time when the Native Americans were still around in that area, and the game was set during that time, and maybe you played during one of the natives who lived in the area before the spiritual power was corrupted. What would the spiritual power look like to them? What would it mean to them? What kind of symbolism would their minds project onto it? And maybe part of that plot would be, the cult starts coming in, in the beginning of the game or whatever, and then their rituals and their belief, whenever God they have, starts to subtly affect the spiritual power. And so then maybe as the game progresses, it goes from whatever it looked like in the beginning before the cult came, and then suddenly the cult's showing up, and there's tension between the natives and the cult members, and then now whenever the spiritual power starts to come around, it's distorted and started to kind of, it's not going to be twisted and bloody and gory because that came from Alessa, but it probably would start to be really creepy because the cult believes in some pretty creepy shit.
Yes,
so
they do.
I think that would be a really interesting take on it. What would you like to see from the next Silent Hill game?
Well, I've been thinking about this for a long while, and what I would personally, I would think it would be really great if you actually played as one of the cult members.
Ooh,
yeah,
I like that. Yeah,
and either male or female, it doesn't matter. I could care less about the gender of the protagonist. But the thing is that they were put in charge to be the next ruler of the cult.
Mm-hmm.
They're the ones who were left in charge. But the thing was, they're not quite mentally stable.
Ooh.
Yeah, so they actually end up having to turn the position down. And I fear, unfortunately, this is this is kind of related to Silent Hill 5.
Mm-hmm.
And when this person hears that there's this new order that happened, they try to go over there and try to fix everything, seeing how corrupted the cult had become. And they're going there and trying to fix everything. But unfortunately, the dark power of the town starts tainting with the person's mental, personality and stuff like that.
Yeah, that could be interesting. Maybe this is somebody who has been in the cult for a long time, and so they've been taking these drugs for years and years and years, and that kind of fucked them up in the head, the White Claudia or whatever it is.
Yes, exactly. I don't know. I think it'd be really neat to see, all the town's dark powers and the wrongful influences of the cult affecting onto this original cult member.
Yeah.
See how they would react to it,
Exactly. Yeah, because I actually would love to hear more about the cult. Like, in Silent Hill 3, when you enter the church and hear the creation story that the cult believes in, it's so interesting. It's like, oh my god, I would love to hear more about this. And then you read more about like some of their beliefs in the library that Heather goes into. It's like, this is so interesting. I'd love to see more of this. So, I guess that it's unfortunate that PT isn't going to continue at all, but I'm going to cross my fingers that hopefully whoever does get put in charge of Silent Hill from here on out maybe can, understands the stuff that we talked about that makes Silent Hill game a real Silent Hill game. So, and as more news comes about concerning the Silent Hill series, maybe you and I can get together and have an update and talk about what maybe what we think about the new stuff coming out. But okay, well, I'm gonna let you go so that your kids don't explode.
Mom! I am still recording.
We'll have to edit out that explosion sound in the background. Sorry.
Sorry, my kids exploded, everybody. Let's get this more where that came from.